and Drochshaol and Nimmerke, Starvale, Mariga Ernak, agus in Tatlandbach, and Doris Jenny Lace, the end of outrage, post-famine adjustment in rural Ireland, to say doos no a once, mas fear, agus ta Madonna Sass go Breandán shot, and Kang shot a Carlu and you Mark Hodge the happen the Gaeilge, or a kid Gulshies, agus Mark Hodge the Failure in Yarny. So to fail a football in Ireland then show up at the academy actually be a chance to go to a man. But other than that, then brass asked the world the Dale show was going to be and Kanch and you I have it or is it able to the goal man go be no well ear view or running the false to Dalby College to Forest and show them and you to make sure shopping program Flusky a little bit of hack or boil. Agus tá sé le Johnny Stager in the Hannahura or in Ní Shea, Akahara, Donald O'Connor, O'Connor, that's what most says Mark Clifford Hanks, but you've got skin a curse but a car Bill Bus on board the friend of the
right, we'll go over to Garth, so the Dustin which kind of Garth, he'll look at this from a couple of layers. Well, let's continue with Jana Lynchie Jarrigish and on their stuff. Jana Lynchie Jarrigish. Arlene's Red Lines. Shin watersheds. Okay, so then you be a hen geese got Shin watersheds. Very just doi Jeffrey bit swing to cheer crack the hair. I can come in the head and show the volume more a while and the first there in the scaffold as well. It's a natural landscape the hair in this wildlife. It's got to be, but you go more to a garden new, agus and Caramonas Moat of them sort of garden, winning shell is show. Because show Lord, a screw far Hugh Darian air. It was Hannah Hugh Darian or a tail, a douchka cure funnel, a wine and douchka cure funnel. In upjig trees a car. It's for Shabuas and Nibit in Nijig carriage. Agus on Conde Shon Screeveshe or in Peel the Giorconal Laran New East Jig. Screeveshe in upjig octus and the upjig Noka. Agus Screeveshe the Hiva Gormario Pace, Gormario Polling in New Door in here Connell. Rin a polling show, Inspector Martin, Rin she Europe Sayat, or a Winchek and a Litchie, or a Father McFadden there, Rin she Europe de a Goal in Ye Afro. August nor a Huckshe, Europe de tired a Goal, don't see the Dini via Flagot and Afron on pace August Warishiba. August the Hindup Dory, August the Conservatives assassin, Dirty, these people are not fit for self-government. These people are savages. They're like the Hottentots of Africa. August the Suibhne, the nationalists, the liberali, these are poor, persecuted peasants. Okay. August Vianda Evashin ag Chak Salach Eritrea. These are other Darian which Scrusha Contis a Hanig Coswitcher Lunanal League Lara New East. So we're looking at these people aren't savages and they're not angels. They're ordinary human beings who've come through a particular historical experience. There's a green lar lower second to Contus Erangarta. And so in Contus Shaw Erangarta, a screefa a furboas in the Wogi and Nira, that she in Contus is fwetive Orinia than East Acme, Orinia than Hoswitcher. Era Harlan Erin Larani East Jake. Agus Higlam a Vinu Jeeve, Eridus a Winchell Lesson Coswitcher. Mar an object Novus and Knee. Go Ban Hugh Dorian, because go Neen Hugh Dorian, or Waterloo Place in Mirror. The higher Edava Olta. Okay, being Van in the Kuchaski. Agus Neen Hugh Dorian, being Virtual Olta, Waterloo Place in the Larmira. Togu Guji Barricade, they go in Chan Van Mock, Van Dorian, they go a Mohi, they go on the wall, the Dinic, Lenanina Fergusus. agus ní raisi an body. Hit she is just an owen agus body. Okay. So seo coswitcher gragini agus John level around Dorian excreve nor a hogshed confa shop an garden. Agus catchlaka national the hannig a moss a coswitcher turn kershis egg an garden. The red one of the head drainless a galore doing. Mar hapla kind of public works schemes in Drochshaol. This is where the government advisors dealt out a successful blow, and it would appear premeditated. The great blow for slowly taking away human life, getting rid of the population and nothing else. It meant next to slow murder. So take well Shinner and Garta, there's a constellation take well John Mitchell and Garta. Because genocide, which are the Brachina, or Rilkis in the Brachina, or which are the hair. Shouldn't Jarko Mitchell. The Almighty sent the blight, but the English created the famine. Up to Dorian, Rudbudney's Christian, no Mitchell. It was Jersey, it was premeditated. Jersey, it would appear premeditated. Jersey, it was slow murder. Jersey, it was next to slow murder. So, so far, a Higgin Tawak Focal. And what is Tawak be doing it now? Go Annalish Nashunakeke, no Annalish Nashunakeke, a Harlan there in the Lar Newish Jake. Agus Malayan to come to story, and to Kershis Ervini egg at. No, I need to be a father galore, Higla the Wallagiri more. So the Kershis egg shin. The Kershis egg in Dahavi Ervini a Gathru. Agus galore Ruddy Allen. It says Kershis into Garavatan, a galore doing in Europe, Kershis and Chumara Vig, Ocris Ervini. A Rudding the Sontas of Contishu. Eg far a word of van boas agus Alton. Now, on Jerem a current challenge. Okay? Arising from death, emigration, and dispersion to all parts, the population soon dwindled away. And indeed, I will hope it will not be in any way uncharitable to say it, but with the multitude also disappeared many turbulent and indifferent characters who were only a disgrace to the good, to the honest, and the well-doing. And if there was poverty, there too was peace. So rather to say, the famine was bad, the famine was brutal. The Brits did it, but got rid of some bastards I didn't like. Okay, so the shin into crewing, not a swinching to her. Good joke of far, a hanning a mahas on the coswitcher, dignity and coswitcher. A rojarku nation of a le on garta. Good joke of lesha let to conclude a very. Okay, so chuck him a jarashka jari and a ball book, but just lord him like a general to fetch your common moment of book. The aim of the your common in object 3 is a hay, cheap to a chinna. Cheap to in object cara has a shade. Cara has a hay. Akabe on garta, the dream go ni small na 3K meal a dinner at your common in object quick as a hay. Row. So, Viturimus lacade meal a dinner gone. Okay, Vintinra half a lacade meal a dinner gone. Nor uncle which are garta in a challa, and not in Yerla for your excess mortality in the boss work. Grow right to boss work that what we surgeon in a challa near her hair. We all schligger was common. No, cool getting ni small. 5 times the mortality rate of Donegal. The North kept your come in go hicks the Kuigu shot. Cheap to grow on Garton is massive. Jerome, Antrim, Arbaha, Wienahan, Fermanagh, Conde and Cowan. Okay? So there is switch with your Garta, your Connell, Kildana, Ruddy a Gahamajavinu doing him. Nakatina on Garta, Nis Massa. And the root bug Ella Gahamajavinu. Mokshin, Glairskill de here, Connell, Quidjogusha Am Katigov, in Ear, your Connell, Galish Jasauri, and his ledge. So to Isagov, Gulantal was massage your Connell, in éhar na conda. Ach eite bhí bhui nó ariste sa léirscail sin, gudóir na rasa. Hannig méadú an daonra in Anamgar. The population increased in the 1840s on the badlands of West Donegal. Cén fáil, Catha Harley, cén do a Harley sin. Theories? Farige? Dear galore daoine farige, very much the fish hypothesis farige, go be a farige on. Ach sure to be a farige who's in show. You know, it's to be a farige he's in show. So ni winning should agree to farige. Ni hig like February is go on. This again in yarn daoine Europe February is go on. But the contish again your ear here come, agus a white ella. Rini hannig da ariste a gart in Almagarta. Because hannig da ariste a gart, the higher a grosh the geek body of sluggai. Okay, exacerbated carroting. Don't eat too many carrots. You look like permatan, something like that. Okay, so you wouldn't should agree is correct. Sure, it could be out. Any other theories? Jardini area grew cheer the Palu Mai and Shaw, Lord George Hill in Etor. And Jack the Plesh and Venushin, Shin Hill and Shin. Now, grew Akaninian, Jardini grew Hill Mai, agus Drochshaol Shin Adini and Shaw. A Jer ain't in Akaninian grew cheer the Palu and Shots, the Rasa, Hart from Clog and Leah. Ain't in Akaninian grew Sheshin, Lord Mancharles. Grow Sheshin in a grog in a mom. So, they had a dream grow chummer reward landlord activity or a harm. Jordan could be out. Yerwood a howl on Pobble in here come. Clitchel stocky, okay, knitting socks. The chorus in here come like an arm shop or for shopping. The India that be a hammock, or 5 Begradlo sna before Chamatal and Ra, agus Yanu and Ra and Shin stocky eclecta. So there was a domestic industry of big merchants in Glenties, Fintown, and Low, putting yarn out to women to knit into socks. Agus Warren Corishin, Friedge and Garta. Okay, Warren Corishin, Friedge and Garta. Hugshi the Ma, Snad and Ra, agus lesh them Ra a yield of stocky eclecta, Hugshi min weave. You know, they paid them in kind with foodstuffs. So the Winship Shin, Leshendoya, and made of her in Daimler, agus Rodella, na Maranadini, Gulga Halabon, Gulga and Alabon, agus Quinny Shin and Gullare, Friedjum Garta Foster. Guraig na Faroga, Guraig na Maroga, Jimmy Sheet the Halabon, agus Hannick Sheet the Rashla, Aragat, the Chud na Halabon. Agus Bia a for Dini Dini for Bia or for shopping, credit, Vishdadel to Geo from the Kenyan and Shin. So Master Gershin and Ruther Howell and Damon. I can tolerate your Shin. Now go Dini and Via go Trom in Yeru and Garta. Okay? We should have Via go Trom. Le first shopping in a counter hand. Agus in Yerin and Nahaji, Agus tus na Kuigiji, Hannig common free Halu Contossi in Earher here come around the Molly Maguire's there. Okay, so a secret society develops called the Molly Maguire's. And Agus on aim na on Kerhige a via Molly Maguire's. Na Carnade and Dini, a vi Troman er na Bogdan. Okay, so vi should the Shasu Sus, like say trade your son na Bogdan. Kenche, vi should the trade in Aiden Nigerian Talo. Ma vi Nigerian Talo a Giri Dini Kermas with Tia, hop in the Molly Maguire's, which yana she unsi or a Nigerian Talo. So Nigerian Talo and agent subscriber. Vi should an Aiden Dini, he was Stephen Full Catch like a hen. Consolation for shopping. Okay? The meal merchants. So with the Shasu Sus to the Mokdan, in éidir a good leabhairte a leit. So sure rud a Dorian from the Bleath sin in Gaeilge Garda. The landlords are often accused, and justly, of their oppression, cruelty and tyranny. But unfortunately, very often a man's neighbour is just a pitiless tyrant as any man. Okay? You know, your neighbour can be a bad bastard too. Agus seo chur síos grabbart tav. Okay, land grabbing at the gist of seo. So daoine who you bhíothe in Garta, go minic hail siad chud agus talamh, agus hail siad an talamh sin minic galore dagad córsan hain. Okay, so don Garta salach, agus bhaine an Garta le daoine bachta a dhéanamh rudí salacha a chéile. Alright, sort of portal must my at the top an trade seo, not an furgl of seo and seo. The seo had for Yevila Tivan Weed Ardara in Gaeilge here come. Agus seo school Nashunta, Bea National School, a Togu and Upjay Carahas a Cruig, Gila Riv and Garta. Now as far enough into Shimplie, there's a heart from Fihe Tree Arad, Agus Yahri J. Erlechli, 12 feet by 20 feet. Chakyam T. Erdo Craig Gar, blue clay floor. Agus vi céad poiste ag freastal ar an scoil sin in Upjay Carahas a Cruig ar Fosgiel. So it's far enough into Shimplie. Ach ma ancumidir Bea, agus ma ancumidir Tithe Ella, Chimwood, the typical house in Bea, was valued at 5 shillings. The school was valued at 15. Okay. So what sort of conditions were people living in? If that was 15 shillings, and most people were living in something valued at a third of it. Well, the story Grown the tia into Cosalish and Skull. Shot young the tia. And Sean and Shaw her Jerry. Been Chasha on the Namagarta. And Sean and Shaw her Jerry. Togushin eg Tusan Fihuish. Shin extension the Togu eg Jerry Fihuish are cool. So on Boncha in Namagarta, we should Idger and the Hemler Shin. Ak Nero Shimler be on. Agus Nero Funyogan be on. So if you should Jira Cosalish and Skull, Akabay Gul Shimler an Skull, Agus Funyog an Skull. Agus Ramdini Yishab Sachashin, Shamra wine, 12 feet by 20. Ramdini Yishab, Agus Horashid Chalach is Jab Fasted, give the cattle as well. Cattle will go to the left, people towards the fire on the right. Agus Shimon mode of living of a Bungasini Sakampershin. Scaraby, so Skulshin in Okjay Creekus a shave, in Wester Oak Skull, a Faradosa bit figity, or O'Claidrig McGlynn air. Agus in Meath, Okjay Fias, Martha Okjay Fias, Okjay Creekus a shave, Scream McGlynn Litcher, Hig Breath of in the Holy Account, Stipend Free Magistrate Cruise. Was done Litcher Shin or Marston. Okay. Patrick McLean, National Teacher there to Daniel Cruz. Agus Jershus the Litcher Shin, ha all the Subumser in the Molly McGuire's. Agus to Misha Celeste and Chola Shin up where it. So Doyus Gumay Tussa Ableton, Breher and the Molly McGuire's. Red hand. Okay, it's the Shin Power. The Shin Tarshkent Deeper, Tarshkent Olish, the Cruise. A Curser of Hulls, Breton and Molly McGuire's, Agus Ida Jan Unsu, Erginin. Okay? And now you have a couple of cringy like it. Now, why don't go now listen in your big man? Okay, I'll give you information, but I want to be exposed as an informer. Agus, I need to be rewarded. So shouldn't thing you take. So there are 4 clues in literature. Jimmy Shalishkabal and Clea, August Checkal Shay, Department of Education and Mala Clea, there's I want to check the signature of Patrick McGlynn. Drochshaol the signature should be accurate in Malaclea, Far Kieran of Vion, Hannick Share Rash, Richard Connell, Hershey Litcher, McGlynn, come see me in my big house. Hui McGlynn, Mabulalish, he she's agus rin she'd socru after a hay. Go, Dohu McGlynn, Olstow, go share an Olstow, an Ura in Molly McGuire's in Lonsi Yanu, Edinburgh, in Bea, Arrow, James Gaeilge there. Agus Veo Cruz and Shindogs and Pace, Napoleon, they should be able to Brehan and the Molly McGuire's at Januansi McGlynn. Okay, now referring Cruz and Cade tip-off on McGlynn. Then she had this group of Poland in Atlantic, and Meath plugs and Meath. Agus who she trust in Valley War, that Valley Gardra, agus in Shin Yarshi Trastna, Parkina, Kairan, Ivneha, Gadrani Sheep Gabel. Agus Glock Shin 300 Clegard. She had for Yavi the Jake, half a Ock Mila. Agus Rin she Chin and Larna Heathen. Agus Hannick she Richie Chap, James Gaeilge, agus Dan she den Shin no Van Heathen, Gajia 3 o'clock, like Father der Molly McGuire's. Agus near Hannick den Yerby. Agus near Hannick den Yerby, Jimmy she the Rash, Trast in the Khera, Lander she the Rash in the Glanting, ik share it or watch. Harna Shin Uruguayan, the high of tip off on McGlynn. Hannick she Yari, the high of a tip off on McGlynn. Hannick she 3 the high of a tip off on McGlynn, is near Harna would it be. Harna she, the Cattenwer. Since Shin Kyle Cruz and Magistrate, Heil Shed became flying to the Egg and McGlynn. Agus Drochshaol, come see me. Agus Drochshaol Shinlish, if you know as much as you say, you know considerably more. Give me a list of Molly McGuire's, or I will do you for wasting his time. Okay? Equivalently in this, Dirt McGlynn's a Gaeilge literature, I don't want to be exposed as an informer. Dirt Cruz lesh, and you will take the stand to prosecute the people you name. Okay? So he's in trouble. So, Suibhne Reches, agus Daniel Niche, hard for 3 gushing far of his the Molly McGuire's near her column. He Niche, agus Glocksha, Gomeo Egg, goal score Kurcha in Niche. So go hard for 3 in here coming. But 30 men were rounded up over 5 parishes on the word of Patrick McGlynn. Churna Hutarash Kugaraku Uskur Kurch, first batch 5 prisoners. Agus Kiontuid, agus Currin the Felician. Akvi Jackrock Egon Choro. Mer Kushuid, agus Kiontuid. Enisha Patrick McGlynn online. Okay? So they were tried and convicted on the word of a co-conspirator. A supergrass. Agus shouldn't tain Enisha a be in the name. Agus Julia Dory, we should an Arvis Grosh Fasho. Near Hill she Grosh a cart, Egan Choro, a Dean a Curly Frisu, Enisha co-conspirator. Agus Gana Yala of a So, Hushi, an Oglish catch the Hakanshin, Agiri Kudju, Lesh on the Colon, Agiri Kudju Lesh the Hutus. There's an Oglish loaf, there's Sire loaf. You've got another 25 guys. They mightn't get convicted. You look kind of stupid. We can cut a deal here where you don't take them to trial. They will take the oath of allegiance and you release them. Okay? And the prisoners bought into this pact. So Ligu, Neferella, Amahas and Free, near Kush, near Kerwer Trinity, Glachig an oath of allegiance, there's Ligu for Golden Walla. Current Patrick McGlynn, a van, is Bert Feiste, na Hospital. Agus vi Kufnig Dinierschen an actress blink in the Asian. Just scale with the Kriegji, the Commission Villages there, fan actra seo, nor a hannig desire go lifer, nor a bhíon cask mór cuairteán, agus they cut a deal, the priest cut a deal with the authorities, and the boys got to go home. Agus the compass and shoulder and tired, then a hassle with Doris and the courage, it was be crushing, no crook lesh. Agus there been the gasry of Jack the Moss and courage, be Suibhne current crashing, the crook, hard from the windmill and some whipple them off Doris. Agus Jer said, show, there been far Jeremy, a Jack the Moss and Doris, folk shall cost, agus will she kick wise Jacks and toe in here. Go in the wall, Jer said, go in the wall. Agus now be his Jackin, a hand of a gram amateur, than your oak, Sudas frigid here. And go home, and don't be getting into every ridiculous society that's got up in the country. And he gives them an almighty kick in the arse as the last one comes out the door. Farah did your scale show, Bridget Kershees and Molly Maguire's. And there was good and bad in them. They didn't want anybody to take advantage of the poor by overcharging them. They did, he said, some good, but they went bad. Like a short sort of narrative into catching them from the Molly Maguires. They were good when they stood up for the poor, but they became like a protection organisation, became something of a protection racket. It's like the Sticks. So I shouldn't narrative into catching for the leader. Chuckle Clooney Chapel, Snatch or Harlan actor show. I was Togushin in Upjay Shasta. The church had neglected the district in which the Molly Maguires were very strong. So this church is the clearest reminder of the Molly Maguires in that community today. Except if you look at it from the pub. Okay. Because each of them chat tavern, agus in chat pub, the furg na fug and sho, it the leather claim. Agus shin hala, an ancient order of Hibernians. Agus is an ancient order of Hibernians, agus the Molly Maguires. In Dram, Canon, Cairn. So Dalta, Irish Ella, the Molly Maguires never went away, haven't gone away, we should own Jans and Fiwish, Gilar and Fiwish, so I think she doesn't hear it. The compositions of Lord Shin of them to the end of outrage. So rather occur Rome's Lord Shin. Now Lord Fa, the end of outrage, to do what it says on the tin. So we synagogue, so though you had a general outrage, political violence, the synagogues go against the cuspery of the political violence a hushi in Drochshaol. The synagogues, though you had a general ilar na Gaeilge. The synagogue so wint of the ager and general hanig leishon for a politician, agus and though you hanig sort of long outrage mar a higgle Virginia, moral indignation at the fate of the Royal Court. As based on Catherine, the Charlotte Smoker and the Simon. Now, King Doy are hanig outrage, the moral indignation, the mockdown. King Doy are hanig generalishin. If you want to borrow the language of Dr. Phil, how did the poor themselves get over? You got to get over it. How did they get over, come to terms with what had been done to them in the time of the famine? So should I run for my role again? I was to shot Dilly again. You see into Dilly shot again. Because the healing ahananya in ear here called Gerharla on Gartha the Waddle. Ní jay no cachet when Gersavug as Narasa Commertus Dausa Old. In the island last week's issue, congratulations Fiona Nidala around the Moden and success in the Ulster Dancing Championships. It was stated due to a typographical error that a relative of our father, Con, was a rape collector in the door 150 years ago. Folks, that takes some doing. That is some typographical error. When a little girl wins a dancing competition and somebody makes a typographical error that says a forebear of our father was a rape collector during the famine. Okay? And he's begging the Donegal Democrat, let's go over. So, our nish starting the Bratchine, her session no method said they go for a block them. Compared the method of the story to that of a detective looking for clues. The story that the hitler was her session mo second, no method second, a gumprad le mo breath, weighing and considering evidence. But my story that could neheran who, Gaheria must story that could tuye neheran who. Check to Ganankan glordini er staraha. Ní cosol le blachtere, ní cosol le breth. A cosol leis an character is grana sa criminal justice process an brahador, or informer. Agus the isagin J. Harley the brahador. So Sean Wester Scolella, Patrick Doherty, 1847. Patrick Doherty had upset the Molly Maguires, believed to have informed. They paid a visit on his house, took him out of the house and cut out his tongue. Okay? Because the severed tongue, the cropped ears, cutting somebody's ears off, they are the classic stigmata on the body of the informer. Because you've broken the golden rule. You haven't heard and you never tell. Okay? So if you said Jacker on lower bookshop again, it's minimal till for Shimonish, okay? Brother Wildman and laugher at the flag. Now, yeah, cashed for the flag. Harry and Darlington came to him. Why did Patrick McGlynn before? So, any ideas? Could he have hunting big in a rather? Why do people inform? What makes somebody an informer? Why would you do it? Arrogant. Okay, finance. There's a high of a integral which is in this. The McGlynn via, okay, heavily in debt, the arrogant the old there. Because Jershon had literally had, I need money. Okay, so could be character condition. For the other, could you make finance? Is Kossel grobunchig plitchiat lesh fast? Nui Sean Shut Ui Moses Ward, but there's a name to conjure. Because if he's be Moses Ward in a wall and a Molly Maguire's, so while a Bugshin Ardra. Agus Rin Moses Ward, agus Dini Ellen, Eruct, Rachia El, then Ar, a Vina Canara in a Molly Maguire's. Ni Roshid says the Lishan Canasi of the Agri. Agus Rinshid Eruct and Canara a Caramon. Agus Hepburn. Okay, Hepburn. He led a majority faction trying to depose the leader of the Ardra Molly Maguires. But the people he represented, while they were a majority, they couldn't afford to pay for the passwords of the society. Okay? So the master of the society remained in place. So he sculch the Molly Maguires. He sculch succumb. Agus the haiva na sculchation. Vi dini agiri an hours van a kele. Agus heel Patrick McGlynn grow chance go up with the scale ersen, maar vi shesh in a wall in Molly Maguire's hang, agus vi ugla air. Go up with the scale ersen. Agus is costal gershin at scation or huntisha in a veranda. And Darna cash to be yogi. Just look at our Ashley. Why did the Mollies want to attack James Gallagher? Okay, show Bayanish. The Shuha are a battle war. Did you show? Lakusha Fibonj. Act into bud. Agus and Lair Skull show. Kurushin Lekela in Okjay Quibis a shot. Okjay Quibis a shot. Nor a renew show. They're in Chief Griffith's valuation or show. So show property tax assessment. Because my uncle to her show, Chief to James Gallagher, Chief to Antalawi again, because Antalawi of course. As my young to Lair Skull my uncle to her Dajarik, Shinnon Erin of the James Gallagher in Okjay Quibis a shot. But the Raha Rash, the Fwinshiella, Gji Okjay Carahas a coup. The Raha Rash, Gira gudi lar na nahaji. Gira rival garta. Van gewekitu an da jarik. Shinoro. So another harla. Said Wallabug Shin and Amagarta. Now, Hashi James Gallagher ag meidu an Goaltas, no an holding the VA, the Kurdish. Cain no your interest. To be the China Nagolian Shin in Amagarta, Talo into Bogt. China Roll Herner. So Chumdi the Dini Shali. Agus in Amadrahil, no Amagarta, there James Gallagher National Herns. Gee, Misha were bosses to America. Get you a boat ticket to America. If you sign your holding, the land that you're renting, over to me. It was first in Thomas record. In Upjay Creegus Shay, Creegus Coog, Upjay Creegus Coog, on that way and shit, the Bannon Shinner of Nancy Sweeney Batty. Agus Vishina Barnshaw, she was a widow. Agus Vishina Bia, heavily in debt. Hannah James Gallagher and Hickishin. Sign over, share your holding, I'll clear your debt. Agus Fursha La Docken Tonf. Agus in Shin. Here in that glass shop and shop. The Farron Shin of Pat Kennedy. Agus the Pat Kennedy took it alone. Agus Visha Dia le James Gallagher. Agus for James Gallagher, free the Hollis Segison. Okay. Pays the passage to America for one family, clears another lady's debt, and then the other fellow's drinking so heavy and borrowing money he loses 2/3 of his land. So Shin and Doi Ajiri Gallagher 7. Agus vi sin the Brodo, ma uncle doing the carpet sheet at the here the Griffiths valuation. James Gallagher holds lots 2A, 2B, 3A. He wishes to have them published as laid down here, being separate takes. So there is one arrogant SOD. Okay? He got this land in different lots, and he wants it to be known into perpetuity that he dragged himself up by the bootstraps. Okay, so this is a tough guy. You're unseen. You're on Molly McGuire's Agiri unseen. The hive a veteran landholder is no so much. Which the Agiri unseen. The hive a grow full hunting. So tenants said it. August grow Shagiri the full hunting shin churamon. Okay. So James Gallagher wanted to clear his subtenants, and that's why the Molly McGuire's attacked. So shouldn't sort Talo around the full hunting in the goal here, Talo in the box. Agus James Gallagher a churamon. The high of Shin Hook, the Molly McGuire's Ruger and Chap, they actually the lecture show a boggart air. Relinquish your idea of dispossessing people, and if you do not treat your father with more kindness, we shall do ourselves the distinguished honour of paying your Royal Highness a visit. So shop am Taggart Shin on Ahar, the Raha Rashkaji Larna Driaji, Shin Kilesho Bay Castle. We share a Rundale chorus Talif, Rundale Ganamshin, and it's kind of a communal system of landholding. The good land was farmed collectively, and people would graze their cattle in the bad land around it. But about 1840, it's divided up like this into square farms. And in that transition, James Gallagher replaces his father as tenant. Okay. Now, picture. Show Nelly Sweeney, and it's your appeal in the 1900. Show Annie Kennedy, and it's your appeal in 1905. Okay, Nelly Sweeney, Annie Kennedy. Eshin Garwalk, widow Nancy Sweeney. So Eshin Garwalk na Banksy, a Chaim Ladak and Talif, and James Gallagher. Annie Kennedy, Garneen, Pat Kennedy. A Faravi Agol, a Chaim Yafrin Bahal, and James Gallagher. agus fós siad seo in nídéag tríos an ní. Agus iad san Meath mór agus Water mór. Okay. So my grandparents were the people who lost land to the neighbours. And what has intrigued me, was they lived out their lives beside the Gaeilges. The Gaeilges had more land. They were the first family to slate their house. They reared more and better cattle than their neighbours. They were the first family to rear a priest for the Diocese of Drochshaol. First family to have a car. Okay. And I just wondered, well, how did they and the people before them, how did they get over what they lost in the time of the famine? Agus sinna chur Rome san orsin, na sinna víniu duhain ní smó an other bia. Agus nar bhí me gobar seo, bhí me gobar America, agus dúirt mé an hain go scríbham ag Father John Gaeilge, okay? This direct descendant of James Gaeilge. Dear Father John, do you have any idea how the family got the big farm in the 19th century? Okay, letter sent from a safe distance of New Jersey. We there were quite a number of old people in Mayo when I was young, and all were blessed with good memories. But they never seemed to go into any happenings of the past. Okay? So they were all blessed with good memories, never seemed to go into any happenings of the past. You know, like one great memory never taken out of its wrapper. Okay? One very careful driver, you know. At least the refurbished ship hashing my guiding, they're mad. That's stupid. But slowing she love agus sílam go bhfuil an ceart aige. Sílam go bhfuil ceart aige agus míó me sin in istíh. But when an géirí an rud a bhí do hain, the mar eiste glóir dario. Agus the tract agus gravel atá. As Jer said, the property acquired fraudulently succeeded with some for a time, and such people were not looked upon in the light of being just men. And there was always the foreboding thought that some evil would befall the man or the family, not wishing ill on the innocent. And if evil befell, there was not that general feeling of sympathy which would otherwise be the case. But rather a whisper would circulate, it was one deserving a certain musication. It was a pity the innocent should suffer so for the crime of his father. His father was not good. He was blamed for turning out widow so-and-so. He is that all the lands held once by so-and-so and never paid a penny for it. God in the bad times, how could he have luck? It's the Sinn Fear for James Gaeilge. He didn't have luck. For Shapoas to say Og, it does some of the Shaskiji. So he didn't have long to enjoy his ill-gotten gains. And that would have taken some of the sting out of the acquisition of land, I think. But Father John, there's a switch when he's lower there, and if you can back the line lower, I can should hitch in the so it's a Jeremy Garta, agus 2 feet wish hitch on the Imran, agus couldn't say pitch him, could you the Shaskaji, or have a share of you, agus having fast over in the Imran shin. After Larry Shaskaji, Bencher not go more than these small than 3 seconds in a goal, these a wall of shin. You were trained and being in Almacar. Gedi your Harlashin, Emmerke, pitch wide. So shut Tomba to Clooney graveyard. Their family, their son James and his wife Mary. Okay, James and Mary. James died in 1953, Mary 1945. And they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 children. Neil died at home, one is home. Connell died in Scotland. John died at home. James, Hugh and Patrick all in the USA. Annie B at home. So 3 died at home. Mary in Australia and William in England. Okay? So family of 9, only 3 died in Ireland. Agus the Tombi Costellation fud here in the area. Okay? So mass migration. So this is a place in which kids grow up at the age of 20, they leave and they never come back. So it's a place in which melancholy rises like damp, as emigration becomes a fact of life. Agus Cumaileshin the Afro culture a gullery. The agus in Príomh Afro culture na Dolaleg na Gaeilge. So seo language day in 1911. The bunus a ahanlinge a hannig ar a tíl in Meath go dtí 1881 bhí Gaeilge acu. Ní dhé sin ní ó Gaeilge bhí Gaeilge. Okay? Agus tá sin ionta coitianta sa ceantar sin. Gur hána runne carta 1880 agus stad daoine atógailte le pláistí le Gaeilge. Did hí ar hána sin, Déireann sa na daoine ar ó pláistí acu an am seo a ré. Sin daoine a bhí méthach fríd an chorus idirthas, na bunscoilta a tógus na daití. So the first generation to come through the national schools raised their children speaking a language that was not their own first language. Okay, that's my understanding of what happens there. You can see it for a wider area. And again, this is 1901 data. You can see just the squeeze that's coming on Irish about 1880. You know, that'd be that cohort there. From substantial numbers in the late 70s were being brought up speaking Irish, and it suddenly contracts around 1880. And I think that's what it is. It's people who are educated through English in those schools. They rear their children then in English. So an dóibhíní mise sin dú hain ná nearú an níl hís déig, you know, the living were walking away from their dead. They're doing so literally with mass migration, and they're doing so figuratively with cultural change. Okay? So they have no real engagement with the past. So I think Father John was actually correct. You know, they didn't go into any happenings of the past. They weren't interested in the past. They were dazzled by the future. Bicycles, late 19th century. Cigarettes, 1890s. Cars, first decade of the 20th century. They're dazzled by the future. And they're not interested in the happenings of the past. Okay. The Scottish play, 310, I can't remember well within the volume of which time I've seen Hours Dreadful and Things Strange, but this sore night I've trifled forward knowing. If you were living in that little place in 1901, and you had seen the population fall of your townland fall from 120 to 60, it was keeping falling. You have seen what was the vernacular suddenly be completely abandoned. You are living through something more dreadful than the doings of James Gallagher in the time of the famine. So let's just finish up with this man. Seo Con Kennedy, seo Uncle Meath, my great uncle. Who's Glachan Picture Shaw's Hawkinge. The character Con, the Leo and Shaw. Seo Chumna, Will Ahar Con Kennedy in 1937. 1931. The house, land and stock I leave to my son Con with the provision that he's not back the part of boss over the other members of the family. He's a bossy man. He leaves money for people's souls. I leave a shilling to my son Patrick and a shilling to my son Neil, both of whom are at present in America. So you can't dispute the will. It's a cruel, cruel word. Right, 1974. 1973, 74. The very handsome young man there in tight red leather trousers. Get into the back of that car with his two siblings. And Con Kennedy squeezed his big long frame into the back of that car. And he said to the good-looking man in the tight red leather shorts, he said, Adam and Eve and Nipney went over the bridge to bathe. Adam and Eve were drowned. Who was saved? And the young fellow who gave the correct answer received a big sharp nip or pinch from big calloused fingers. Because that's a very old little catch. It's a way of explaining to children that you don't always say what you know, and sometimes the shrewd say nothing at all. I think in that little part of the world, you can be quite confident. There are some people who would say that had I listened to that little rhyme, I mightn't have written my history of the whole place. So there you go. Thank you.
Only my friend is Donny, you're a creation?
A creation, eh? Would you believe it? This is the first time we've had a lecture where somebody showed you a picture of themselves and typed.
What about the Gaeilge? I've read that it's a calendar and ish. Because you were a website on the Mara, you know?
Oh, de facto on the Mara. De facto. Fyw eitha in Iesgr the parish did, a mew couple of channel Lord and Gaeilge Gaeilge. Mew eitha vi Mara fein tŵs yn Fiwish. Rwyd sy'n harla harfa octave octo, harla sy'n before lang.
Is it Cumney or Fad in a world?
Look, a Harry era in Cumney, that's a tipping point for some reason, and I think it's the national schools.
Yeah.
Okay. Lots of people have photographs like this, and you think it's a photograph of yourself and your siblings. That's actually my father taking a photograph of his first car. It's not really a photograph of the kids at all. And loads of people have photographs like this. This was the 1970s version of Facebook for showing off your possessions.
Do you my first shop car in the shop?
Stop. Cash to be?
The Gaeilge shit. I still be arguing in a Gaeilge. I still be arguing in a Gaeilge shit.
Okay, good night.
Or a dog, can't tell me, it's a dog. Dog. Which is about what the pack of a Gaeilge? her Facebook page and shit.
Oh,
Well,
She was
yeah,
a professional shit and she can tell. She great safety doctor. It's not up the hot more or go to the cover. We just have a lunch cheer her ball, just a ballot. But the devil is over the technical ballot,
okay.
in case we go to school or the new thing, I know Ireland is about the task of a lot of young ladies in they're shaking out the whole shit. Yeah, you can't know, I'm happy to be more than that.
Good, good.
Okay, so where's the booking pitch? Okay, so Johnny said.
Oh, Darren, you're already on the ball street. Yeah, they're on the ball. I don't know what's in the shop. Oh, you're on the scale then. Meyer. More shin. Near Lichshire more. No, Mushin Shin Jam here. Near Lichshire Mushin Jam was. Gaeilge Hartar can say. You're on the last of America. Mar, we should post the revision because we were across the other, I think. So Scar and Clone go home on, so we birds and Charlotte and Agar because like last Thursday in medical and mud, but only can screw the shop, like they're new Muslim law. They get on only can screw the literary shop because he run with Shinjana and non Nira I guess we have to go on I'm on the year of it.
Catholic, that's it? No, we're the other Catholic school.
Neil, I'm a shit will see can be more of the hot Australian.
You know, it's not.
Hot Australian. Can art, Calvin? Oh, hey, I mean, paint, design, what you want.
Oh, who is? It's really good. The more months.
It's a world is a house. It's very good pay members, Saber. What's your money sheet?
Remember that.
Saber, that's the what's the other time in fire, you know. You're sort of like, oh, I'm Shemaya,
But we see for a while, God, yes, I've been there.
Neil should be for an hour, Neil should.
But me, and see the figure yet, and real flashy, Ardra. She's single, Ardra had no like bars, because like skill actually wasn't skilled up in Gordon and all that.
Lord,
This was a fair one, eh? I found it now, you see her Facebook, so to see her fad, to see her Bjor or literally, but it's held dog or not. Connor Moody is watching, Jared's wasn't there, there's a boy. When Frisco was watching, Chan O'Connell as mummy, Anna Himmel. Grania, my ship was shot, Crayley, skill talent, I think you see her, to see mine well.
I did not say over.
What's that?
I've seen Corner now.
Is it? Send cheers and Rafa said in this, right? Here I'm gonna say there, so he's doing a Lord Tigurada. Here coming in Fishan, her Martin Fishan, her maid Fargo, pretty fucking factor out of my Jesus Christ, you're in one man. He said, you're a good moment. This is really good. I wonder if there's open test happening, there's just no happening.
Lord, with the ladder there on the design of the Lord Mayor of Europe. Our skills and the civil, and I have a shit of salt. I was down to you, opposite of the issue, Austin Morgan, Danish and Hansen on the top of the blue, and Laura, so the last law, I think he thought the Sunni being over the knowledge of the shits in the world. You know, it's a darn word, a couple of paragraph. I wrote the hard on well, no long again, hard. Because the channel between the Hebrew and Master, they're actually across the Sunni, and Strabal against the Strabal problems, so not there. Call me actually, isn't it? Because there is shit, I think it's in one of the COVID. Because in the end, Coggy, Footfat, we got all the Drochshaol machine and the Gaeilge and every if we should have five my head's on the show. Because hard to say what can our couple of neighbor do while you're on it. The third way governance and asylum and because probably power along so good job.
Yeah.
And it's an asylum on one side. Because the other running will either far away, us in Chapter, or shit, other parting can art, which is a giving card from the Agru, and fucker, and they should honor what we do. Not father alone. DJ is a DJ. So sure I get on here, but just dear in the end and all start with the first. I could say, so that can not hold on and it's more realish and even nation starting within a palm. I was just punchy brush, palm life. I could see on minutes and garden to rather than fucking transport union or die.
Yeah. Let's get up. Send the door back here. Okay, ready last night? He thought he spoke for 10 minutes. Until I sent him your video.